We appear to be live. We are live on LinkedIn. Good morning. Good morning. We're also live on Facebook and I think on Twitter. So we are definitely going live. Good morning. Good morning. It's great to see everybody coming in this morning. It's wonderful to be on LinkedIn. It's a change for me. It's a move of platform. But do you know, never does it matter where we are because at the moment we're everywhere. So I'm going to have to remember to be smiling because the camera's on and of course we're in LinkedIn, but there is no camera. So good morning, everybody. It is wonderful to see you all here. And I am sure that on this fantastic Saturday, on the 23rd of September, you are all ready for your weekend. I certainly am. And I hope that you've had a fantastic week. My week has certainly been incredibly challenging, but effective. So I think that's where I'm at. So I'm going to allow people to join us. As I say, I am remembering to smile. We are live on Facebook and we're live on Twitter and we are live on LinkedIn and I think on Instagram, although I'm not entirely sure. So it could be that that we're everywhere at once. It's great to see you all. I'm glad you're all finding the room. It's a new platform for us. So I understand why we might take a couple of minutes to gather. So good morning, everyone, and welcome to not only this LinkedIn audio discussion on the vital topic for me of fostering belonging in business, but welcome to me on LinkedIn for the third time this month. We will be back on Monday as well after our clubhouse room at 6 a.m. in the MI 365 Daily Intentions room. And it will be the last room in the Daily Intentions room that will be happening after 2 years, would you believe? Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. So on Monday morning, if you are around, it will be an interesting space where the last day of Pete Cohen's MI365 Daily Intentions room will be happening. But then at 7 o'clock, that starts at 6, and at 7 o'clock, then we'll be coming over here and Pete will be giving his motivation. I think it's Mindset Monday. There we are. Mindset Monday. But it is, of course, all about motivation. It's great to see people here this morning. So I'm going to remember that I've got my camera on. Today, I want you to come up. I want to talk. I'd love to hear from everybody. But we're going to explore, for me and for you, how crafting a culture of belonging, I think, can potentially transform our workplaces. It certainly has mine. So I'm going to begin with defining and exploring initially what it really means to belong, to feel like you might make a difference, that your uniqueness, that that bit that makes a difference, your onlyness, I've heard it called, your individuality, it's that, in my opinion, that secures the deal, makes a trade, or fosters that relationship. You right. So then we're going to move on to how that might look when the you becomes a we and we connect and develop a connected interaction, and then how we can move outwards to become us. And it's the us that I'm seeking to understand fully. As a leader in inclusion and accessibility partners, it's my raison d'etre, my personal and professional reason for living to foster inclusion throughout the world, in business, in education, and in relationship. But above and beyond all else, I'm creating the us. That's not just me. It isn't just you. It's not just some of us. It's everybody having a space at the table, particularly in my business, the business of achieving inclusion through the tireless work of both accessibility partners and inclusion and everybody else that I am connected with. I have such a fantastic network. And I've also heard it said that your network is your net worth. So let's start by defining what it means to belong in a business context, shall we? And don't forget, if you want to come up, I think you can just unmute and come up. I'm not sure, but you can have a play around. What does it mean? And what is belonging in a business context, right? Well, social belonging is a fundamental need. We know it. It's hardwired into our DNA. Yet, 40% of us struggle and say that we are isolated at work. Now, I thought the figure of 28% of disabled people in Wales who are disabled, the people who are disabled, 28% of them feel lonely in comparison to 8% of those. Oh my God. Can you believe that I've been muted? How wonderful. Everybody else heard this except you. And it's 5 past, which means, thank you, Matt, it means that I have just failed fantastically forward. And how beautiful, because it means I heard my introduction, but you didn't, which meant that everybody left. But that's okay. We're still here everywhere else. I think they went to look on everywhere else to see whether they could hear me. So thank you for letting me know. That's incredible. It is funny. I agree. So this morning, after a 5-minute hiatus for those that have remained, we are going to be talking about fostering belonging in business. And you know, I feel like I've said this already. I feel like I'm repeating myself. And I'm going to bring in the power of psychological safety. So, good morning, everyone, again. And welcome to this LinkedIn audio discussion. For those that are on Facebook and everywhere else, forgive me whilst I repeat myself, but I hear that people need to hear it more than once to remember it. So here we are. Here's a learning day for you. We're going to be talking about the vital topic of fostering belonging in business. And today we're going to explore how creating a culture of belonging can transform our workplaces. It certainly has mine. I'm going to begin by defining and exploring initially what it means to belong, to really feel like you make a difference, that it's your uniqueness that makes the difference, your onlyness, I've heard, your individuality that secures a deal, that makes the trade or fosters that relationship. You right? And then I'm going to move on to how that might look when the you becomes a we and we connect and develop a connected interaction. And then how that we can move that outwards to become an us. And it's the us that I'm seeking to understand fully. As a leader in inclusion and accessibility partners, this is my raison d'etre, my personal and professional reason for living, to foster inclusion throughout the world, in business, in education, and in relation. But above and beyond all that, I want to be creating the us. Not just me, not just you, not just some of us, but everyone having a space at the table, particularly in my business of achieving inclusion through the tireless work of accessibility partners. So I'm going to start by defining what belonging means in a business context. Well, what belonging means, I guess. Well, social belonging is a fundamental human right, human need. It's hardwired into our DNA, we know. And yet 40% of people suggest that they are isolated at work. Now, I thought the figure of 28% of the disabled people in Wales feeling lonely in comparison to the 8% of people without disabilities was bad. But 40% of us feel isolated at work? I think that connection for me has to be Jungian. So Carl Jung once said, the meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there's any reaction, both are transformed. In the workplace, belonging is that reaction. When individuals and organizations, she says, are transformed through that connection, but also through mutual understanding, I feel. So I guess the question is, for those that have remained, and I'm grateful to you, why should we foster psychological safety in business? Why is it important? Well, I think we can delve into that why. I think we have to foster psychological safety, or we don't always, in a business environment, because in order to succeed, people need to feel that they are effective, right? Self-efficacy. We have to struggle through with resilience to meet the inevitable things that are going to happen. Life happens, right? Inevitable obstacles and all those inequalities of life for those that live here. And I am getting messages from people saying they couldn't hear anything on LinkedIn. maybe they should pop back. Keep on going, right? Through those inevitable obstacles. And that's what we did right here, right now. That can only happen, in my humble opinion, when we are psychologically safe. I think psychological safety is the foundation of all self-efficacy, because I think that then individuals, me, my staff, my workers, my clan, my caress, my community can express themselves without a fear of repercussion. It allows us, me, to turn up at work totally and completely. And I am known for quoting Brené Brown when she so beautifully stated, and I reiterate this, but never get tired of it. Vulnerability is not winning or losing. It's having the courage to show up and be seen when we have no control over the outcome. Unless, of course, that involves your microphone, and then you have complete control over the outcome. So, how do we turn up at work completely? And what do you mean, MJ? What do you mean we're not going to turn up at work completely? I get on the bus or I get in my car and I tootle off and I get to work and I arrive and guess what? I'm all there. I don't leave an arm behind. I don't leave my head behind. Well, I don't know. I don't leave my head behind. I arrive at work. So, what are you on about? Well, I think, as we know, that in order for us to be our whole selves at work, and by that I mean no facading, Maslow's words resonate here. What is necessary to change a person is to change his awareness of himself. When I'm aware that I'm faking it to make it, when I'm facading, when I'm wearing a coat of what I should be, how I should sound, what I should do, I'm afraid I can't be there. I just can't. When I realise that I am being who I am, I have a steadfast commitment to myself. When I know that I am moving in my true values, well, then I can be authentic. Then I'm more aware of my strengths and my challenges. And that authenticity, when I can fail fantastic forward and just keep going, I think, I believe, I experience it, I know that has fostered belonging. And it's definitely enhanced productivity. And that's where the rubber hits the road, isn't it? In business, it enhances productivity. Psychological safety isn't just about feeling comfortable. It isn't. But I am, believe me, I am. It's also about empowering individuals to speak up about their challenges, the challenges of the business and the opportunities. You know, Rogers, who is one of the psychotherapeutic modalities theorists that I have studied, said the curious paradox is that when I accept myself just as I am, well, then I can change. So in a psychologically safe environment, we acknowledge that there are challenges every day. We accept that that's what we wake up to the challenge of the next 24 hours or however long you tend to plan. I have a 15-year plan, but it's very much rooted in the plan I make today and transformed into opportunities for growth. Those challenges transformed into opportunities for growth, transformed into productivity, transformed into business outcomes. But believe me, that's not why I'm talking about this today. I believe that if we strive to foster belonging, we create a shared vision within our organisations. And unless we create a shared vision, why would the workers, the staff, the people, our caress, our clan, our team, our movement share that vision? Failure is not always a mistake, said Skinner. It may be simply the best one can do under the circumstances. In a culture of belonging, I believe that as employees, and I'm one of my own company, we are more willing to take calculated risks, knowing that our contributions are valued. I believe that this shared vision leads to that innovation, to that growth, and those business outcomes, that bottom line. So I wonder how you think we create a culture of belonging, how we think we create a culture of belonging. And something I haven't managed to do yet is look at the chat on all of the places that we are live. So please forgive me if I'm not engaged in that. Please do speak among yourselves. I'll look at that later when I review just what has happened here this morning. I think it starts, for me, I'm going to ask Chris actually. There we go. I've asked a question. I'm going to answer it. Chris, good morning.
Good morning, man. MJ, how are you? Brilliant. Absolutely, that was brilliant. I've listened to some presentations or start to presentations, but that was brilliant, man. MJ.
Call me what you like, to be honest. Mandy, Jane, MJ, same by any name. To be honest, as long as you remember me, I don't mind. And maybe remember some of what I said.
Yeah, no, there was some great quotes there. Belonging, to be honest with you, I think it starts actually with the organisation before someone joins the organisation. So I think if there's transparency in what you're doing, what you're about, the what, why, you're going to attract the right person for the right organisation. So I think belonging actually starts with the hiring process and the essentially the information about the company, so that there's the right fit, if that makes sense.
It completely makes sense. You know, I've been arguing for the last, I don't know, 20 years, but certainly the last 2 years about how people need to be accepted into an organisation and their role developed around them, as opposed to there just being a job and they have to fit and squeeze into that space. Because I think that it's very easy for us in a culture of success where we attempt to be okay at everything. Yeah, I'm good at that. Yeah, I can do that. Not a problem. Absolutely. And so I think the idea that you have about it being before the recruitment process is vital, because you buy into a culture, right? You buy into an attitude. You buy into a vision. But then when we do buy into that vision, as much as we have to apply for a role, I think in that role outline, there needs to be a real sense of allowing that person to grow within that role and show their strengths and develop the areas that they find challenging. What do you reckon?
I totally agree. But to be honest with you, you're going to learn a lot, MJ, when developing your organisation. Definitely, I think it's brilliant. By the way,
thank you.
At the end of the day, you've only got so much time. Say, for instance, let's take your example.
Yeah, let's.
You're definitely going to be hiring people that buy into your vision, I would have thought. And then you will lead the way in terms of developing that person. But the problem is when an entrepreneur or individual starts a business, especially a new business, and if they've not got the skills themselves, that's a lot of the issues. So for small and medium-sized businesses, it's tough to have the bandwidth, if you like, or the scope to be able to include. That's one of the reasons why I see that being one of the root causes of there not being inclusion. But there's no excuse for large organisations, in my opinion. They've got the bandwidth, they've got the money, they've got the people, but it's the systems. It's the classic systems thing. I think that's just my personal opinion.
And we're all entitled to it, Chris. And I think it's an evolving opinion because it's an evolving movement. It's an evolving, it's a new iteration. EDI, equality, diversity and inclusion, has been, I'm afraid, as everything starts, as a tick box exercise. But I think as people move through the mess in the middle, the discomfort of speaking about it, of talking about it, of having those conversations, having these conversations, how do we all belong? How can we all be invited to the table? How can there be a space for everyone when it all looks such a different space for each person, when we are all such individuals? I think that's the challenge. But I think if I'm being truthful, really honest with you right here, right now, and I speak from my heart space, I have to say that we have to culture a movement from our head to our heart. I truly believe that EDI is a heart shift. And I've been saying this for a couple of years. You know, I'm a trainee social worker, and for me, it's my head, my heart, and my hands that make my magic, that create the alchemy that is inclusion, that allow everybody a space at the table. That is what I believe. I don't think it can just be on the at the board on the on the table. I don't think it can just be at the boardroom. I don't think it can just be. It's got to be everywhere, and it's got to be from the heart, because we're never going to get it right. We can't get it right for everybody all of the time. But if we foster a heart space shift to inclusion, to belonging, to encompassing, then we ask after, we're curious, and we find out how we can help. And I think better than try and fix everything and make it all right and stop people complaining and get it so that it's all right, and we're making doing it and it's not excuse and all of that things, I think if we foster a heart shift, then that promotes an inquiry, and that promotes a communication, and that promotes connection, and that promotes belonging. And when we feel everybody belongs, then funnily enough, we notice that they all need to get to the table. We open that door, we make sure the chairs move, we accommodate. That's what I think. Thank you for promoting that in me. Thank you, Chris. You know, over in Clubhouse you have been a stalwart. When you're there, you're there. When you've got something to say, you've got something to say. And I just celebrate you for that. I really do. You are a humble and generous gentleman. And I thank you for being over here and sharing that. There's no wonder the first word in your bio is passionate, because that's what I feel when I feel you, Chris. Passion. Anyway, good morning, everybody, and good morning, everybody in the audience, and everybody on the stage. Please come up. I have not even talked to you about how I think we should create a culture of belonging, because I think it's going to happen for me right here, right now. And it's very exciting to be with you all on Facebook and everywhere else, as I am not ignoring you. I'm definitely here. I hope you can hear this fantastic conversation that's going on. Thanks, Chris. Marie, are you there? Does anybody else want to unmute?
I am, lovely.
Good
Thank you for this morning. Thank you for this wonderful space. Do you know what? It really transported me back, because when I was supervising a nursing home, there was a wonderful, and she was a wonderful carer. She really had her heart in the job, and she was found asleep on the job, and sacked instantly on the spot. And when I went to her, she broke down and said to me, I'd witnessed my sister get murdered. I can't remember how many years ago, and I haven't slept all night. And I went back to management and said, listen, there's got to be an area here where some compassion is brought into this space, because I can't imagine how difficult that must be. And they weren't having none of it. They sacked her on the spot and asked her to leave. And I wonder, for a good month afterwards, I disconnected from the organisation, and is what I mean is in the heart space I disconnected, because I felt such a strong urge and a pull that something was wrong here, that it's not the way forward, and it's not the way to foster building team morale and building understanding and belonging. I did end up leaving that organisation, not just for that reason, but for a number of reasons. In that I agree with you, and because I work alongside you every day, MJ, you and I both know it has not been easy. It's not sexy all the time to talk about the stuff that can feel quite hard hitting. But let me tell you something. It's what I do understand is that shaming and blaming, because it's people go, certainly for myself, I go into jobs wanting to do my very best and show up as my best, right? But I make mistakes all the time because I'm not infallible, and that's the truth of it. And it's hard work. You and I both know this through having this bottom-up approach where there's no shame and there's no blame. There's, right, okay, let's look at the core of this, what's really going on here, and let's figure out a way that we can work together so that we're maximising our productivity. And in that, everything else changes around it. Do you know what I mean? And it is a heart space job. It is definitely a heart space job for me, because human beings are all the same, aren't they? And I was scared in the beginning to show up and go, I don't know what I'm doing here. I don't know what I'm doing here. But we've had those hard-hitting conversations, and it has not always been comfortable. But I'll tell you what it's fostered. It's fostered a relationship built on trust, and it's fostered a relationship built on understanding that there's no hierarchy in that we all know that you're our boss. We know you're our boss, and we massively respect you for that. But at the same time, it's fostered this relationship where there's no separation. And that's really fundamentally important, because if you can go to your boss without the fear of shaming or blaming or some form of punishment or pushback for your under-deliverance, you really, really are winning, because it makes your team more productive. It 100%, certainly from personal experience, it makes me want to do better. It's just as simple as that. It makes me want to do better at my job, be better, become better, learn more. So I'm all for it. Let's move into the heart space, because you know it makes a fundamental difference, doesn't it? I wonder how different it would have been for that Ghanaian lady had we have sat down with her as management and said, how can we support you?
Absolutely, Marie. You always bring a mic drop, and I've experienced similar exit strategies myself with people in organizations where I just couldn't get anyone to hear me or to see them or to value that situation that I'd experienced when they'd shared with me the reasonings for their under deliverance. What a beautiful word, under deliverance. Well, I guess under deliverance is all about our KPIs, right? And whether we're meeting those. And I just want to say that I agree with you wholeheartedly. It's a heart shift. It's heart space. And whilst we're in LinkedIn, right? So we're talking about business outcomes. Come on, it's all about the bottom dollar. You're right. It does make us more productive, and in my opinion, therefore, more profitable. And here's somebody else that understands all about people and profit. Matt, how beautiful you're here. Good morning.
Good morning, MJ.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm loving this space. Sorry, I was just swiping along in my phone, and I thought, do I lose myself in LinkedIn now? Do I lose that capability? Where is it? Oh no, because I know it's coming. And I found it. And I found you. And I listened to you. Well, I tried to listen to you. And I thought, hang on a minute, something's not right. MJ never shows up and doesn't talk. At least she laughs. But I can't hear anything. So I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to reach out. Because if that was me, I know I'd want someone to reach out. That's just standard. That's standard. That's one of my standards. I'm a professional. I am a professional, and I understand the word professional means it's a professed standard that you're not going to fall below. So you set the bar. That's where I'm at every single day. If I fall below that, I'm letting myself down. But more importantly, everyone else around me, I'm letting down. So, you know, your subject this morning, which is huge, it's not even about this morning. It's about ongoing, because it's an area within organizations that, whether they're large or small, just starting, not even starting, do you know what I mean? Conceptual, just a seed, just an idea. Working with people is the biggest, most challenging day-to-day operation that I find myself in, I find other people in, and it's all got tougher. It's intensified. It's like, what the hell is going on out there? Well, you know, what used to be easy for me, I love working with people. I absolutely love work. I've been building teams for over 27 years.
Yeah.
The biggest, strongest team I ever built was the one inside me. And that took the most amount of work. Because I'm not solo, I am a team. I have many components inside of me that I have to orchestrate and get ready. Because if I'm misaligned with one of them, and one of them doesn't want to play ball because it doesn't like the way I treated it, well, it's not going to show up when I need it, you know? So when I listen to what you're saying, it hurts. I'm going to be honest, it hurts because people are people and people need to be treated with respect and dignity and given space at all times. Whether it aligns with you or not, it doesn't matter. That's who they are. And acceptance, I've heard that this morning. Accepting in yourself that everybody is an individual. Whoever shows up at that point is the individual you're accepting to work with. Whether it has a future or not, they do. Whether your partnership has a future or not, they have a future, and we must respect their future. And I was told a long time, I just want to finish on there, I was told a long time ago, the culture that we have created in our organisation, and this is I'm going back 15 years, the culture that we've created in our organisation, and back then we was employing well over 30 people in one particular salon. And people used to think, wow, you're busy. You're so busy. Look how many people are here. And I'm like, yeah, that's just the workforce. You know, wait till the guests arrive. That's just the workforce. But back then it was very different. Why was it very different? Because culturally, economically, politically, you know, the whole steep, when we look at the steep analysis, it was very different to what it is now. If we look at the blueprint the way it was then to the way it is now, and you overlay them, was complete opposite. The same things happen in terms of how they're dealt with, but the actual situations that we're facing as employers, as businesses, you know, entrepreneurs, so whatever we are, employees, the whole culture is very different now. But back then I was told, whatever you did to get your culture in this company, in your organization the way it is, bottle it and sell it. Just bottle it and sell it, because you will make an absolute fortune. And I, you know, back then I didn't understand why. I didn't understand, you know, I'm not a modest guy. I'm not, you know, I don't work with ego. This is all about hard work. What I understand was I worked tirelessly to make it happen. But the biggest thing I learned was in employment, there's two key things I learned in employment, and I was knocked down by a huge corporate when I shared this with them, and they was actually in the salon at the time, and I was just in a conversation. I said, if everybody in here experiences love, and I'm not talking about a Russell Brand kind of love, if everybody in here can experience love, then surely we've got to be filling a gap at some point for those that don't get to experience love. And quite sadly, back then, and it's not so much now because the schools have taken everybody away. They've taken all the apprentice opportunities away by luring them with iPads to stay on at school so that schools can get more funding and further education that the kids don't actually want. They want to get into the real world, but that's another story for another day. But I always say, look, let's come from a place of love and let's show these guys that we care. But only if you really do care, because if you really want them to succeed, we're going to have to embrace them. After all, they're spending 9 hours minimum, let's say 9 hours of their day with us. The least we can do is to show that we care. And we need to come from a different place than most others. And when I shared this with a client that was, or guest that was sitting in the chair, which was head of a large organization, corporate organization, I was like, I shared it. And they said, are you crazy? What, you want to hug someone in here? You want to show love to someone in here? That's not how it works, Matt. That's not how it works. And I looked at him and I thought, I walked away from that conversation thinking, is that not how it works? I'm really sorry, and I was only back then I was a lot younger. I just felt inside of me, that's what I'd want. That's what I'd want in the workplace. I would want to be shown care, love, space, and freedom to be who I am, not to be someone they want me to be. And that culturally was one of the biggest things, and we still to this day, which is why we've had people that have worked for us for longer than 10 years. The longest one was 19 years, and that's quite unusual, I'd say. Doesn't make it say, well, it was the best way, but it's the way we practice. It's where we come from. And I'm always the last person to say, let's get rid of them. They're not suited for us. Because I take the responsibility and I'm accountable for the fact if we recruited someone and it's not working out, then we must find a way for it to work out until we reach that point where we are both exhausted and run out of options. And that's where, for me, the selection process comes in. So I just want to finish on that one, the selection process. Let's get it right at the beginning. Know who we are and know who we want to work with. And so it's a really big, it's a big topic for me, huge topic for me, because I'm really passionate about making sure that people feel in the workspace like they deserve to be there, they have a right to be there, and their contribution makes a lot of difference. So I love this space. Back to you.
Well, you said so much, but that last three words, right, last three sentences or three statements about that they want to feel that they're seen and heard and contribute, and their contribution makes a difference, right? But the other bit that Chris noted really early, that actually we need to know who we are in order that we can access and express ourselves and attract those people that fit with those values and visions that we hold, so we can have a shared vision. And that relationship is what fosters it, right? And that's how we create that shared vision. Matt, you're somebody who I admire in business. You're somebody who I admire in person. And you also have saved my life this morning by reaching out and being collaborative and helping me be greater than I was already. For I was on every other platform. I was just silent on LinkedIn. And there we go with the with the analogies there, silent on LinkedIn until today. I just want to say thank you for being here, and thanks for being up here, Fran. I'm aware that you are waiting. I'm going to move to Christian. I'm just so grateful for everybody's contributions today. Maria, you brought the heart space, and that for me was the first thing I did before I went live this morning, which was to put my hand on my heart, to do that heart mass breathing that brings my energy right to my core. And I asked my God of my understanding that I should speak from my heart space and not from my head today, because my head and my heart move together as I work with my hands. And I'm doing that with my voice now. Christian, good morning.
Good morning, everybody. Yeah, going back to what Marie said and what Matt said. This is the first time I've had a proper job. This is the first time I've been working, and we all make mistakes. We all do silly things and get ourselves completely discombobulated. But it's, as you were saying, if you foster belonging and love in the organisation and care, and know that we've all got each other's back, and that we'll love each other, as Matt was saying, and Marie, and you know that you can make these little mistakes. You can do it because everybody knows it's been done in the best possible way, and that we're not sort of, nobody's against anybody. You can make, but you know that you're going to come out of it at the end of the day in the same place you were in the beginning of the day. And everybody's discussed it, everybody's worked it out. And that's moved forward. If you've got a business where everybody's at odds with everybody, and everybody's scared to put their hands up, everybody's scared to try to put their head over the parapet, the business doesn't move forward, nothing happens, because nobody wants to. They just go through the motions to the time it's time to clock off, or the time it's time to collect their pay and go off and do something else. And so if you can foster love, belonging, and care, and everybody works for the greater good, and that's better for everybody. So I'm completely with you. And we couldn't do it. We couldn't do what we do without that. I don't think. We'd have all. It is what we do is quite challenging. Can be very challenging. And if you were doing it just to go through emotions, you just wouldn't. You wouldn't have your heart and soul in it. You wouldn't be able to work. I mean, I've done things Sundays, I've done things late at night, not because I have to, because I feel it needs to be done and I want to. And that's what you foster, MJ and Marie. That's what you both foster in me, is that I want to do it, I want to get it right. And, that's we're better together, to coin a phrase. So that's my take on it.
Thank you, Christian. Do you know what you said there was, for me, was the going through the motions. I don't want to be going through the motions until I clock off. Neither do I. Never again in my life. Never once. I'm not sure I've been very good at it, to be honest. Age 19, I went to a holiday park, my first job outside of college, and I became a catering assistant. I then became a catering supervisor because, of course, the supervisor left because it was horrendous. And the hourly rate was, well, it was £1 an hour, which shows that I'm clearly only 21. And for every hour I worked, I was charged my accommodation. So every hour I worked, I was charged 10 pence in the pound of my accommodation. So the harder I worked, the more my accommodation cost. And it really was very stressful, as you say. And it got to the point where there wasn't enough food because the orders hadn't been made, because I hadn't been ordering them, because I wasn't supervising. Anyway, I lost my plot. I didn't know that I was neurodivergent then, but I went into my manager and I just went, this is ridiculous. And I lost my plot. I cried. I stressed. I probably had a paddy on the spot. And he just said, you're psychologically unhinged, aren't you? And I stopped and looked up through tears. And I just said, no, I am undervalued, underpaid, and not supported. It's not me that's psychologically unhinged. It's the situation that created and fostered such a response. Anyway, he didn't sack me, but he did refer me to his mother, who was his manager. And we did get some more staff into that supervision and into that catering space, and our caravan owners were once again satisfied. But I wasn't holding on to the idea that because he hadn't created a space where I was psychologically safe, that he should be able to get away with calling me unhinged. So yeah, I mean, I wasn't sacked, fortunately, unlike the poor lady who dropped asleep in Marie's instance. But how different it would have been in both cases if A, I was supported because there was a shift in his heart space, or B, that management team had seen and heard and valued what that lady's experience was. And my heart goes out to it even here right now for the trauma that must have caused. And wherever she is now, I send her blessings. Thank you, Christian. And I could not do it without you or anybody else, actually, who's here listening in the audience or who otherwise might be listening later. Fran, good morning. How are you? Are you there? I wonder if she's had to bob off. She has. She's had to go. Fran's had to go, but that's okay, because I'm just going to allow a couple of other people up to speak. Thank you for bearing with me. Good morning, Pete. Good morning.
Good morning. Very quickly, just because I'm about to leave the hotel, I just want to say to everyone, can you repost this room? Share the room, right? If you click the share button, I don't know whether you've already done this and asked MJ and people to do this.
I will.
But click the share button.
Thank you.
And share this onto your feed. Otherwise, I know there are some new people here, which is absolutely fantastic. MJ, I'm sure you've already done this. I know your introduction, we couldn't hear you, but that's okay. That's just how we learn. Please just remind everyone what this room is about, who you're about, and how we can help you.
Of course.
I've already shared it. I shared it straight away. Please, you don't have to share it.
No.
But these are conversations that people need to hear. So click that share button, share it to your feed, or share it somewhere else as well. Share via, I don't know, wherever else you can share it. Let's make some noise.
Completely.
Love you,
Love you too, Pete. And you get off. You're in Ireland. I love the fact that you woke up and shared Island Beauty with us this morning in the groups. Fantastic, and just thank you, Pete, for saying that. And Fran's back. Thank you. There she is. She couldn't unmute. Good morning, Fran. You made it. How are you? Are we still struggling? We have a LinkedIn glitch, but never mind.
There we go.
Ah,
Got it.
yes!
Hello.
We made it! We made it! Good
You know
morning,
what
my love.
happened, MJ? I had my captions on, so I couldn't get to my unmute.
Got it. I do that as well.
Good morning, everybody. This is so nice to have this space back again. Well done, MJ, because I think the economic climate that we're in currently is calling for this. We're back to what we were during Clubhouse, and to echo your heart space thing is what we always said for all those Clubhouse years: head and heart in alignment. The minute you've got your head and heart in alignment in business, in personal life, in everything makes more sense. And that's literally how it is. It is 100%. You become dead center line. Everything you're doing is grounded in reason and only rationality. And the thing you're asking is for everyone to do a heart shift. It's what I'm always saying. Because I work, as you know, loads of diversity, inclusivity, and this new equity thing, which worries me because I don't think you can have economic equity. And I worry about that as a concept.
I agree. No, I don't believe you can. I believe we all have to be open to lifting one another within that heart space. That's what I believe, Fran.
Yeah, absolutely. But this is a really, really beautiful space. I've tagged lots of people in.
Thank you.
I know we've got wonderful Showbit listening from a 5-star Maldives resort where he works in hospitality. I love the fact, you see, he's very young and he's wonderful, and I've looked after him for a couple of years now, and he looks after me too. It's mutual. Beautiful. But I think, MJ, this is a beautiful space, and can we carry on doing this again?
Yes, we can.
This is the right kind of thing to do. It's business people on a Saturday. It's catching us all at a different level of being prepared to listen and think, because we haven't got the next meeting, the next conference call or whatever to go to, although I have, because I'm working in a little while.
Indeed, same here. I'm leaving shortly.
Can we do more?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can. And we'll be doing it on a Saturday morning. There's no problem with that. I'm very, very excited, Fran, and it's fantastic that you're here. Thank you for coming back and trying so hard with unmuting.
I'll get back of it.
Hey, listen, when I started, I didn't unmute, so nobody could hear me except on every other platform.
This is real life. This is what's the authenticity. The authentic self wins a lot more. But welcome everybody, and keep doing this, please.
I will. Thank you for that encouragement. The energy behind your voice has empowered me, has given me that heart shift, that heart burst. I am definitely now energized. Fran, thank you for being here, and thank you for sticking with me all of this time. I definitely stick with you. Traherne, good morning. You're here. Can you unmute? I know that it's hard because you're blind. I couldn't do it, and I have eyes, so you managed it. So you've beaten me, Trey.
Good morning, MJ. How are you?
Good morning. I'm all right. How are you this morning?
I'm very, very well. Now, I want to talk about the topic of the room, if that's okay.
I would love you to.
Because I'm pretty new to business. I'm still trying to find my feet. And this can be evidenced by the LinkedIn profile, which you can all see. But the thing which I want to say is that we talk about things like KPIs, ROIs, what's our target, what's our bottom line. And those are all great things, and they're all very important because it's business, and obviously you have to attend to them. What must be attended to must be attended to, of course. But the key thing is this. If you don't make your customers feel like they belong on your journey, they're not going to be involved. If you don't feel like you belong in the business world, you're not going to be involved. And you have to feel like you belong. You have to gain that confidence of belonging. And in terms of disability, what's happening now is that people are being excluded by things like the built environment not being accessible, or people not understanding how like neurodivergence affects one in the workplace. And I think that it's important to foster a sense of belonging by understanding and by asking a question why. If someone in the workplace is doing something that one considers a bit odd, you just stop to ask why. You know, if something in business is going on where you think, well, I'm not belonging here, this person's doing this, why? or just if you are a business owner like myself, just having the confidence to think, okay, yes, I do belong, I'm going to keep going. And I think it's really, really, really important for us to make that heart shift, for us to make that mind shift as well. And to say to our customers, to say to each other, the people we work with, our collaborators as well, hey everyone, have you thought about visibility in business? What facets have you thought about? And I'm going to quote an environmentalist now who said this: if not us, then who? And if not now, then when? Yeah? Because it's 2023, and like you've pointed out in other rooms, we've had over 25 years of the Disability Discrimination Act. That's a long time to get things together. And I think that even though it's been a long while, people are beginning to wake up. They are beginning to change. They are beginning to shift. And also, you are going to have days in business where you don't feel like the journey. But the most important thing is to keep going and to say, look, even though I don't feel like it, I'm still going to keep going because I still belong. Things still have to get done, no matter what. And it's important to realise that if you want people to understand your vision, you have to be confident within your own belonging, meaning you have to be happy with where you're at, and you have to feel that, yes, this is for me, yes, I can do this, and you have to build a vision. Yourself and Pete, you talk about building visions, and that's getting people to imagine how much money you're going to make, imagine the places you're going to go to. And in this instance, if you're disabled, just imagine belonging in business, yeah? And imagine those obstacles being out of your way if you can. Now, I'm only just learning how to imagine. I'm only just learning how to, build my own vision. And it's difficult, but every day we give it a go, and we see, and we continue. And that's what's important. And you have to build your own sense of belonging. And other people also must help you, of course, yes, but you have to essentially build it, because if you don't feel like you belong, if you don't feel confident, other people aren't going to have confidence in your business.
That is so
That's not
important.
going to be happening.
So important, the other way up. So thank you. Trey, I'm not interrupting. I'm saying I'm literally flowers, as we say in Clubhouse, but we're on LinkedIn. I'm throwing flowers, petals at your feet, because
LinkedIn needs flowers too.
it does. LinkedIn needs more flowers maybe than Clubhouse, to be honest. There's been plenty of flowers at Clubhouse. I think we need to share them around, right? Oh, Trey, the idea that you've got to build your own belonging. I remember you saying I need to build my own Clubhouse room within myself, right? I need to be confident in myself to be able to move through and understand I've got everything within me right here, right now. And that's what you just said here, right? And I can hear now. I mean, I've been working with you, well, what are we on? It's certainly over a year with your current business, longer than that, 18, 20 months. And you have already smashed that minimum income guarantee, which of course we require for you to continue getting access to work. Not that your access to work has arrived yet. I'm not going to bang on about that. But belonging, of course, you've got to be able to see, you need to be able to see a vision of there not being those barriers, of you being able to get travel, of you being allowed to get in a taxi and order it and have somebody with you to assist you at the other end, to be able to access the IT and AT equipment, be able to share in the audio visual presentations, to be able to be mic'd up and understand what's happening and actually have that as accessible to you too. And that should be a given. In fact, it should be a human given if we go to psychological theories, that belonging is a human given. And that to belong, then society has to, or the services that we access need to suit our need. So there's no point in me asking you to go and look for something for me and not notice the fact that actually you're blind. And yet I feel that so often when I notice today that there's only one travel company so far that's adopting signing in their service, that what about the deaf community, okay? And who and what and how are we to exclude them globally in all of our communication? So I think that belonging needs seeing each other, right?
That's right.
All of us.
That's right.
All of us. And I'm grateful that you feel you are ready for business. Whether business is ready for you is another matter. but you are ready for business. And by becoming ready for business, becoming ready for yourself, well, then business has to get ready for you, doesn't it?
I think that, really, when you go into business, or when you're going to become a business person, I think, when you say, "Oh, business is ready for you," business is never ready for a lot of things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because business has its own certain fixed format. Yeah. Business wasn't ready for, diversity and equity until people said, "What about us?" and kept saying it and kept saying it and kept saying it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And okay, that's fine. Sometimes you have to appeal to people where they're at. So some people might think about the bottom line more than the heart space. You appeal to them and you say, "Well, bottom line," and then when you're talking, you get them on board slowly, and that's that becomes something that they then go into the heart space. Other people, they come from the heart space, and you have to maybe make them realize more about the bottom line, and then it all aligns and lines up. But no matter where people are, you have to meet them where they're at. You have to meet them where they're at. That's the most important thing.
Exactly. Unconditional positive regard, right? It goes back to that basic understanding that we are all valuable and we're all equally valuable, right?
Yep.
However we move through the world, and we bring a uniqueness, that onlyness, that ourness that nobody else can bring. And so that uniqueness needs to be what we stand in, our own hallelujah, right? And you are somebody that I see growing every day into your own hallelujah. And I agree with Fran. I think that it's an imperative space. I think that post-COVID, the world speeded up. It's got really crazy. Everybody is doing what they think they should be doing. Everyone's starting to motor towards, that bottom dollar, that bottom line, that greater effectiveness in business. But I just worry, and this is why we need to be here, that just for a moment, just in this moment, we just need to slow down, find our center, front and center, as Fran said, bring the energy front and center aligned, only what is logical, only what is outcomes driven, and nothing of this emotional discombobulation that was referred to by Christian. Because even in those moments, if we are psychologically safe and we feel we belong, well, we can be discombobulated, and we're soothed then by our caress, by our gang, by our group, by our tribe, by our belonging, by ourselves, actually, because it's only the support of others that bring us to that place where we can bring that into our own being for ourselves, as you just said, creating our own belonging right here inside. We're only about 3 minutes away, and I just want to say good morning to Bob. You have all been amazing. Before Bob speaks, last but not least, I have been and will continue to be MJ, Mandy Jane, Mandy, whatever you want to call me. Frankly, I'm getting used to whatever. I might even change my name just to confound you all. But I'm Mandy Jane, and I have been speaking about belonging in business. And why? Well, because I run a business that involves people being lifted, the 1 in 5. 26.4 of us are disabled and experience some form of disability in the UK. That doesn't include every other intersectionality, like the fact I'm a woman, or the fact that I'm queer, or the fact that, my dad wasn't white, or whatever. All of those. I'm all of those. Romani, all of those intersectionalities loaded into one human. But they all affect the glass ceiling, the getting into business, the being in business, the being accepted, the being acceptable, and being an acceptable front face of whatever it is that you're meant to be. So I began my own organization actually 3 times over. And here I am, post-COVID, bigger, better, brighter than ever before, and including more people. And I believe moving from a heart space that I wouldn't have done so much so before COVID, when unfortunately I was very ill and died. I was intubated for a lot of weeks. And I honestly believe that those sorts of dramatic happenings can change one's life and trajectory from henceforth. And it certainly has me. So I am happy to give my time and my space into this, because I believe that we need to foster inclusion, and it's only fostered from the bottom up. I think I need to be in boardrooms, but I also need to be right here on the ground, speaking with and about and because and into this heart space. And what you can do for me is share this room. You can follow me on social media, and you can like, and you can comment, and you can begin a conversation that's naturally occurring about how we are all valuable, how we are all entitled, how we all have our human givens, and our human givens are that we should all feel that we belong. And who are we? Who are we to suggest that somebody else doesn't? As Trey says, if not us, then who? And if not now, then when? Belonging, Bob. You know all about belonging, don't you? Good morning, my love.
Good morning, MJ. Yeah, tough act to follow, that one. You know, we're all glad that you were saved and you've come back bigger, better and stronger than before. Like I said, it can take a life-changing situation like that to totally change your worldview and perspective. Yeah, thank you for holding this space, setting up this space, and I didn't even know LinkedIn had an audio feed. It's kind of like Clubhouse used to be before they did all the changes to it and put it where it is now.
Indeed.
But yes, yeah, I mean, I can speak from somebody who used to be project manager. I had a team of up to about 50 people on some of the bigger projects, and my worldview on the people that worked in the team was that I worked with them and they didn't work for me. So, you know, I knew everyone, knew what they were doing, knew what they were capable of. In a review, I'd ask what I could do to help. And I think that it's not actually that difficult, but the media, it's all about the bottom line, and, you know, you've got to squeeze the last penny out of every person that works for you. So if you can get one person doing 3 people's jobs, do that, because that's going to make you a bigger profit, and that's what the shareholders want. You know, as somebody who's self-employed, I kind of dictate who I work for, when I work, and how I work, and I'm very mindful of how I treat people that I work with. You know, my mantra is always, you work with me, not for me. And I take it from there. And I think the more you hold spaces like this, the more we hold spaces like this, and the more we can talk to people about inclusion and equality and how things should be, the more it's going to happen. You know, you can't bully people into things, but you can educate and persuade, because once they understand that actually treating someone as if they were a human being and understanding who they are, what they need, what they want, will get more out of them, and it's actually more productive, a lot more carrot and a lot less stick. So I know that we're over time, so I will land my plane there, as they say.
As they say on Clubhouse, and we are bringing that Clubhouse culture over to LinkedIn. Poor LinkedIn, eh? I just want to say thank you to everyone for being here. I've got to run. I've got to go up a mountain with 150 women, which sounds like a really good deal to me. But I'm going to Pen y Fan. They are all going up the mountain. I'm not actually going up the mountain with them. I'm just going to sit at the bottom in my 4x4, in my mobility wheelchair, in my purple sparkly wheelchair, before my Omeo comes. For those people that don't know what I'm talking about, you need to connect with me on the back channel. We need to talk about equipment, because equipment and me got a bit of a thing going. I think I need a warehouse for my wheelchairs. So yeah, I'm going to be going up Pen y Fan in a moment. I'm going to be driving there and speaking with 150 servicemen's wives who are all going for a challenge up Pen y Fan. And when they come back down, they're going to be listening to me. It's going to be very exciting, because I can't wait to meet them all and the person that's organised it. So I'm very excited. It is wonderful to be here. There will be another space like this. Please keep a note, take a follow, share this out. Let's get some more people involved in the conversation. Let's make this 10x. Let's make this 100 times bigger. Let's make this the biggest room on LinkedIn that's ever been. Let's make it about belonging. Let's make it together. Let's not exclude anyone, and let's get into the conversation and actually move to that heart space. If you don't know about heart math, go and have a look. If you're not sure about breathing in that way, go look, because I'm telling you, if you want your energy front and center, if you want to be committed, focused, outcomes driven, and committed to yourself, as Trey says, fostering that inclusion, that belonging within yourself, then I would say you need to be thinking about all these things that have been spoken this morning. You know, as Skinner said, the real problem is not whether machines think, which is what we're worrying about with all this AI. We're even AI writing on LinkedIn, but whether men do. I think we have to actively assess the impact of our initiatives. That's what I'll be doing today. Gather feedback, which again, please feed into me on the back channel. People are messaging already, so that we can continually improve our efforts to foster that belonging. Because psychological safety nurtures an environment where people feel encouraged to share their ideas without that fear of personal judgment or stepping on toes. As Maria said, this type of environment, it feels safe to share feedback with others, including that negative upward feedback to our leaders about where improvements or changes are needed. And I'm just really attempting to foster my narrative, as I know that my space now is moving in to informing those leaders to be part of that agenda, to be part of that conversation. As we gain that strength in this community, we become then that community of practice. We move into our own acceptance, our own belonging. As Trey said, we are ready. Business might not ever be ready for us, but we then are ready to create a community of practice that contributes to a team, to our effectiveness, to our learning, right? To our failing fantastic forwards, as I did at 9 o'clock this morning, which is why I can go to nearly 10 past. That leads to retention. That leads to longevity. For me, that promotes better decisions, as Fran said, logical, outcomes driven, performance based, because of that personal and professional alliance with my values, leading to my actions in and out of the workplace. I think that fostering belonging, particularly in business, and that's where we are right now, is achieved through psychological safety. And as people have said today, it is a journey I know is worth taking, because I want to create a workforce, a workplace, a movement, a nation, a world where every voice is heard, valued and celebrated. William James said, act as if what you do makes a difference. It does. So let's act out, actually. Act up is what I say and have been heard. If you want to go on here, all of the back catalogue, get over to Clubhouse and save it, because I'm not sure what they're going to be doing with it. And I think there's about 97 rooms there that you can go and listen to. Act up, act out. Let's show up, shine up, and act up as we make a difference in our workplaces. That promotes psychological safety. And then we can cultivate a sense of belonging that transforms and transcends our individualness and even our organizations. I want to say thank you to you all. Please follow me, share, and show up on Monday. Let's shine up, show up, and let's act up together, and let's make this all about us. Take care, everybody. I'm going to see if I know how to end the room. Bye-bye. Thank you for all of those that are still here. Whoops. on every other platform. We are absolutely going now. I am very grateful to you. Thank you for watching my absolute irreverence of being on a social media platform. Thank you for being here, and I think you're all wonderful. Have a great Saturday. Let's go and foster belonging. Take care. Bye.